Jess is a fractional CRO, CMO for B2B startups specializing in go-to-market strategy, founder-led sales transitions, and revenue acceleration. She's also a former venture capitalist, active angel investor, and a startup advisor. And she's doing all of this while navigating new motherhood and still absolutely crushing it.
I'm not just a talking head. I'm a talking head that will come in and get in your HubSpot. Giving them that extra operating muscle is what sets me apart and really gets them out of the weeds. I started getting feedback from founders like, man, your post about this really helped me. You know, I've been struggling with that or questioning that, and you helped me get over that hump. You're like, okay, awesome. This is helping people and it's working.
It's your responsibility as a founder and CEO to build your personal brand. It seems and it comes off as self-serving.
When you're building a business, you have to make tough decisions. You know, you have to look out for yourself. You can empathize here, but unsubscribe from it. If you don't, you're not going to show up in the way that you need to for your family, for your friends, for your clients. It is you, right? Like you're picking the wrong people, or you're staying in the wrong relationships, or you're staying at the wrong job. The common denominator is you. And so you have to really unpack that to get out of whatever situation you're in.
Life's a Pitch is a podcast where we talk about all the shit that actually happens when you're building a business, leading people, and just trying to live your damn life all at the same time. What is up? I am your host, Jared Gibson, and today I am joined by my friend and founder of Amplify Group, Jess Schultz. Jess is a fractional CRO, CMO for B2B startups specializing in go-to-market strategy, founder-led sales transitions, and revenue acceleration. She's also a former venture capitalist, active angel investor, and a startup advisor. And the most important thing is that she's doing all of this while navigating new motherhood and still absolutely crushing it. Jess, what is up? I'm going to stop reading this, but what's up? How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
So how old is the little guy now?
4 months.
4 months. Okay.
Yeah.
What's the
We're going through the 4-month sleep regression.
Yes. Are you guys sleeping at all right now, or?
No, we are. Overall, he's really good, but he was sleeping through the night completely. And now we're waking up once a night, which is really not that bad. But when you're working full time again, it catches up to you.
Yes. Yeah. I remember jinxing it. I felt like, oh, he or she's sleeping through the night now, or my wife says it and it never fails. Like the regression happens right after you jinx it. So what's the biggest thing right now that's changed for you over the last 4 months, other than the sleep schedule from a work standpoint?
I mean, I'm very grateful that I have a great partner. And we both work from home. So that certainly helps. So right now, anyway, we're just kind of tag teaming it. So we split baby duties. I take the mornings until noon, and then he takes the afternoons, so that at least we both get some deep work blocks, because that's really important to both of our work. And then I'm intentionally taking on less clients right now because I know that my mornings are a little bit unpredictable. But he will start daycare in January, and then that should give us our days back. But, I'm sure, as you know, it's like a blessing and a curse, right? That he's home, because I know I'm going to miss him when he's gone, because I love just popping out and seeing that little face. But
Yeah.
it is a distraction.
Yes. Yeah, I get it. The first, we have 2 kids, as you know. The first one, everything was a new experience. Like every day is something new. Oh, he or she's making that expression and great. Like waking up in the middle of the night, it's all part of the process. Number 2 was a little bit different. So enjoy number 1. Number 2 was remembering what it's like not to sleep and having gone through it all. Anyway, let's we can transition, but we'll come back to that at some point. Give me a rundown right now on where the business is and really kind of what's top of mind heading into the new year.
Yeah. The business right now is I'm a solopreneur. And I think that's changed. Like I started off as a solopreneur, tried to build an agency with a team, which was all kinds of hard, and then went back to being a solopreneur for a variety of reasons. I'm really happy right now. I don't know. I'm still figuring out what the future looks like for me. I think, like many of us, getting more and more comfortable. I'm almost 4 years into my entrepreneur journey now. And I feel like at the beginning, there was a lot of impatience on my part, like to figure it all out. And folks that have been doing this longer than me would mentor me at the time. Like Jess, at the time, it was like 2 years. They're like, 2 years is nothing. Like, this is going to continue to evolve. Like, year 5, year 6, year 7, it takes a long time to get the business where you want it to be. So you need to stop being so impatient. And I've been told that a lot in my life about a lot of things, but there's nothing more true than building a business.
Yes.
So I'm trying to have patience with the fact that I don't have it all figured out and just try to enjoy the ride. And I'm grateful that it's still here 4 years later, that I'm still making
Yeah.
money and it's still working. And I'm just trying to let the rest of it unfold naturally.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I remember when you and I met up, I don't even remember when that was. I think that was before you moving. And
Yeah,
we
probably
were
like year
talking,
2.
yeah, and we were talking about some of the stuff, the struggles you were having with just finding that right hire. And it was a people problem that you were having, as all
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurs have at some point. And the fact that you were just like thinking about just doing the solo thing, seeing how that goes, and you did it, you're pulling it off. So props to you for fulfilling that. It's a tough decision to know that you're going to have to
Mm-hmm.
do this on your own. So you've talked about the difference between founder-led selling and building like an actual sales engine for businesses. And this is really what you do, and how you
Yeah.
help a lot of these small startups. How should founders think about like that transition? What role does timing play into all of that? Because I think what I've seen is that the decision is typically made to hire a salesperson way, way too soon without a real foundation of something to build on top of. So tell me a little bit about the timing there.
Yeah. And the timing really does vary business to business. And I know you know that. I think but there's some broad strokes feedback I can give. And then maybe I can touch on the nuances, like what nuances would change those broad strokes. But broad strokes, I think if you want to have at least 1 million in revenue or like on your way there, and that should be made up of, I think, at least like 15 to 20 clients. Because if you have 1 million in revenue, but that's 2 customers, that's a little different. You know that too, right? So I kind of think those are the, again, broad strokes moments of when it makes sense to start thinking about hiring a salesperson. But you really should start preparing for that day on day 1. And that's what I wish I could like hammer into more founders' brains. And there's a few things I think they can do to just start preparing for that day as soon as possible. So for me, those are recording their sales calls. Call recording software is everywhere nowadays, and it's become more mainstream. I feel like not as many people are like reticent to have you record the call. So I'm like, do it, because that call transcript can become training materials for the first sales hire. It can become content ideas for your first marketer hire. It can become like a self-reflection tool for you to look back and like learn and coach yourself on what you could do differently. A million things. So I'm like, I wish I could get more founders to start recording their calls sooner, and then tracking their emails in some kind of CRM. I'm like, even if you're not doing everything perfectly, like just getting all of that data tracked. Anyway, those are my pieces of advice. But yeah, I would say in general, you don't want to start to think about hiring your first salesperson until 1 million-ish revenue, 15 to 20 clients-ish. And then again, that's going to really vary based on like the complexity of your sale, the likelihood of finding someone that can meet the complexities of that sale. I'll maybe leave it there.
So a follow up there, you had mentioned call recordings, and I think that it's almost cliche to say that nowadays, like where you've got sales teams that are encouraged to record their calls. But like, think about you and I when we were coming up in sales. Like I had tactics before like the gongs and all that crap was here.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have anything that you were doing when you were out in the field? Because I definitely did. Like I was bringing recorders into or in-person meetings, not calls because we didn't really have like Zoom calls, but in-person meetings and recording those. Like maybe it was a little bit shady, but I used it only for like educational purposes. And then I would work with the coach to listen back on that call. Were you doing stuff like that too back in the day? Because now it makes too much sense to do it.
Totally. Even though you would be surprised how many people still don't do it. But I didn't do that. Although I probably should have, but I guess I was fortunate that when I was early on in my sales career, my manager or like a sales mentor would come with me to almost every sales meeting. And so even though I didn't have a recorder there, I had another person that was kind of auditing and giving me feedback, like post-mortem after sales conversations. It is so interesting, to your point, to think that it was literally only 5 or 6 years ago, pre-COVID, that almost every sales meeting we had was in person. And now it's
Yeah.
like none.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It was a struggle for me to go from in person to video because I was like, I didn't understand eye contact on video. Like I couldn't read a room. I think one of the biggest things for me was like being able to read like the vibe or the mood in a room when I was sitting in front of somebody versus
Yeah.
like right now, like I know you're not, at least I hope, but you literally could be like on Instagram right now on your computer, like just surfing through, and I'd have no clue. So I create these narratives in my head, like this dude, this lady's
Yep.
not even paying any attention to what I'm saying right now, and it's a weird feeling until you do it enough, like enough reps to like actually get over that. Be like, no, that's not going on. And even if it is, what are you going to do about it?
Totally.
So I want to talk about this because you and I have had many conversations, and you're one of the best people that I know and follow around this. But you emphasize the power of founder-led leadership and like the content piece of it, like putting yourself out there and creating content to show up. Like why do you believe that building that personal brand can really accelerate like the go-to-market strategy for a founder, and what's the biggest pushback that you get on founders? Like, why wouldn't they do this?
I think we all, and this is myself included, when I started, I never had a personal brand or invested in any of this really until I went out on my own with my own business. And I was just realizing for my own business, hey, I have a pretty small budget. I'm bootstrapped. For me too, I'm selling services and they're high priced services. And I have a theory that, I guess it's not a theory, a belief that when you're selling high priced services, people are way less predictable than software. Like when we're buying software, we know what we're getting. When we're buying people, we don't always know what we're getting. And the more expensive they are, the more trust there needs to exist. And so I was on this search at the time of starting my business of like, how do I build trust at scale? My existing network's only going to take me so far. Like, what are the things I can be doing that are not going to break the bank from a marketing standpoint? And someone turned me on to a book called Be by Jessica Zweig. She's actually a Chicago person too. She doesn't live there anymore, but
she's got a big person. She used to have an agency. I don't know if she still does, a huge
correct.
agency around
Yeah.
building personal brand. Yeah.
You got it. Yep. So someone turned me on to her book and I looked into her agency. And at the time, her agency was out of my price point. It was like 30 grand to work with them. And I was like, I don't have that laying around at that point. But I bought the book, $20 or whatever on Amazon, read it. And it just really spoke to me. Like she made the case so clearly to me about how to build a personal brand, why to build a personal brand, how to do it and not feel weird about it. And I think I felt the same way that a lot of my clients do, which is like, it feels weird to feel like you're shining the light on yourself. Like, look at me, listen to me. I don't know. That just feels weird at first for a lot of people, right? There's something that almost feels like a little bit icky about it. But what her book talked about was the fact that if you're truly sharing from a place of service in service of your audience and you're sharing things that are going to help people, that would be a disservice not to share it, right? So it's all about like your frame of mind and the content that you're sharing. So it's not about being self-promotional. And I try not to do that. I do it a little bit just out of like fun. And also because I'm in marketing and like that would be weird if I didn't. But mostly my content is about giving back and adding value. I think once people get over that like mental block of I'm not doing this for me per se. I mean, yes, I'm doing it for my business, but I'm really doing it in service of my audience to help other people. And when you start getting out there and doing it and you start getting that feedback, like I started getting feedback from founders like, man, your post about this really helped me. You know, I've been struggling with that or questioning that, and you helped me get over that hump. Then I think you get addicted to it because you're like, okay, awesome. This is helping people and it's working. And then I started getting addicted to the impact it was having on my pipeline too. And the fact that for me, that's such a more comfortable way to drive new business is to attract people to me than me going around chasing people. which I never even liked when I was a salesperson. I hated doing cold outbound. I hated doing cold calling. I just never liked that. And I was still a 200% plus quota rep, but I did it all through building relationships. I just used to do that in private one-to-one relationship building versus me doing it in a more public forum online. But as a one-woman show, doing it privately one-to-one is really not scalable. So like those are all the reasons why I love it for founders, because it's like it works, it helps you connect with your audience, it helps you build pipeline, and it's scalable. There are definitely other ways to do it, but it's so much easier for me to spend a few hours a week posting one to many than it is to spend time one to one with many people.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head with it. And the pushback, and I've talked about this and I hear it all the time, is that you've got CEOs or founders of businesses, and we typically work with a little higher, little later stage, larger organizations, but it's the same across the board. You could be a CEO of a multi-$100 million company or a startup founder. It is that it seems and it comes off as self-serving. Right. And and it's a lot of like, I don't want people to judge me and think that it's all about me, when at the end of the day, it's all about my company. And I think if they change the mindset of like understanding that it's your responsibility as a founder and CEO to build your personal brand in 2025, moving into like 2026, because you're part of that buyer journey today. And I think if they understood that, they'd see the value in doing it. And it's just, again, it's outside of comfort zone. So getting people kind of pushed past that hump. And once, like you did, you started to see and hear people telling you this, like out in public. And people often like don't underestimate the value of hearing people out in the real world telling you that they're seeing your content. Because if they're telling you that, just think of all the other people that are actually seeing it and not telling you that. So long story short, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. It's obviously. All right. So like, let's stay in the business for a minute and then we'll have a little bit of fun. But what are the biggest challenges right now that you're dealing with in the business? Obviously, we talked about being a new mother and having to juggle that whole work-life balance, which I don't know if that is actually a thing. But what are the biggest challenges you're dealing with right now?
Yeah, I would say it's, for me, like I mentioned to you at the beginning, like getting comfortable with it being a process, like building a business being a long process and not having it all figured out. So I think I'm just constantly trying to get more comfortable with that. And then balancing the fact that I believe I'm trying to scale an unscalable business, like an inherently unscalable business. And so to make it scalable, I would in theory need to like niche down like you guys, right? Like you do founder led content and that's your thing. And that's one thing. And I don't mean to underestimate by any means, like how much goes into that, right? But I do everything under the umbrella of go to market. And so that's what naturally makes what I do not scalable. But at the same time, I feel so deeply in my bones that founders need someone that can flex across that entire umbrella to really help them figure out where they should invest. Like, should it be founder-led content? Should it be SEO? Should it be PR? When, why, how? And so I feel like the value I bring by being that multifaceted person is the whole reason why I started this company, to help founders navigate that. So I struggle with the like trade-off, I guess, of like, make this a scalable business or stay true to your mission. So I'm trying to find other ways that I can scale this that aren't people. So like I did that boot camp a couple years ago, my newsletter. So I'm just constantly trying to figure out like, what are ways that I can scale what I'm doing that I know is inherently not scalable?
Yeah. Do you lean more so on the advisory or the consultancy work? Like, which do you enjoy doing more?
I guess I would say I really like doing both, to be honest. But advisory is definitely more scalable. I would just say the thing that, and you know this, the stage companies that I choose to work with need more than just advice.
Yeah.
They need doing. So that's where it's like, that's where I really differentiate myself in the marketplace I play as well, is that I'm not just a talking head. I'm a talking head that will come in and get in your HubSpot. And not all consultants will do that. And not that I want to live in that world, but it's like, I want to help them move fast. I want to roll up my sleeves. And so giving them that extra operating muscle is what sets me apart and really gets them like out of the weeds. So,
Awesome.
And I could go up market, but it's like, then you deal with the politics of being up market versus at a startup. speed to impact is really fast and politics are really low. So,
Yeah.
everything
Well,
has its trade-offs.
how much of the people that you work with have raised around versus are just bootstrapped?
Pretty much everyone I work with has raised venture capital, and that's by design now. I have worked with bootstrapped companies in the past, but it's just really hard because they don't have a lot of budget.
Yeah. You're pretty close. I mean, obviously being former VC, angel investors, it feels like you probably have your finger on the pulse of what's going on. And are you able to, in a way, pick and choose who you work with based on how much they've raised, why people invest or why you would invest in a company? Do you work with any companies that you've invested in?
Yes, some of actually several now. Some of them I invested in first, and then we worked together later when they were a little bit more mature. And some of them I worked with first, and then they were raising around and I threw money in it. So both. And I do get to choose, to your point, mainly because I keep enough demand for myself that I don't need to take a client just to pay the bills. I am grateful that I consistently have more work than I have capacity for, so I can choose amongst that pool.
Yeah. Awesome. Switching up a little bit, this is a question I'm always curious to get an answer for. What's one lesson you've taught others in your life or in business that you think that more people need to hear?
I was thinking about this. So I think the biggest one for me, it's a phrase that I heard on a podcast early on in my business, which was, and I can't even remember which one. I wish I could. But the phrase was, it's okay to empathize and unsubscribe. I am an empath, big time. And I really tend to feel for people and make excuses for them. Or like, I don't know, I'll leave it at that. I'm an empath. But when you're building a business, sometimes you have to make the really tough decisions. And those decisions will make or break your business or make or break you. And if you're a founder, you are your business. So you have to look out for yourself, like the old saying of like, you have to put your air mask on first. So I think whenever I'm faced with like a challenging people decision or vendor decision or whatever, I just kind of come back to that quote of, you can empathize here, but unsubscribe from it. That's okay. And you have to prioritize yourself, Jessica, because like if you don't, you're not going to show up in the way that you need to for your family, for your friends, for your clients. So you have to put yourself first.
Yeah, that's good. It is funny. The airplane example is spot on. Put the mask on because that's what they always tell you. But I think if chaos happened, I probably would not be putting my mask on first. So I'm with you. Flip side of that one. This is a fun one. What's something that you love talking about that drives everyone else in your life crazy? Yet you just continue to talk about it.
This was a funny one for me to think about. I don't know if I'm driving everyone crazy, but maybe a little bit. But it's probably my story of me hiring a dating coach, funny enough. So, and this is really my single friends that I'm driving crazy, but they come talk to me about like why their relationships aren't working or whatever their recent failed situationship is. And I'm like, I'll remind you again how I went to the dating coach and now I'm happily engaged with my baby and I found my life partner. I will just talk to people a lot about it, but it's funny because it's something that I never thought I'd see myself doing. To be clear, the dating coach is not like a matchmaker. It's someone that helps you figure out because at the end of the day, like for most things in life, the whole Taylor Swift, like, hi, it's me, I'm the problem, it's me. Like, it is you, right? Like you're picking the wrong people or you're staying in the wrong relationships or you're staying at the wrong job, whatever it is, like the common denominator is you. And so you have to really unpack that to get out of whatever situation you're in, right? And so for me, my dating coach helped me unpack that for myself. Like, what is it that I'm doing that's making me choose or stay in the wrong things that's not getting me the outcome I want? And so like that's something that I annoy all my single friends about.
Were you like just Googling like dating? Like how did you find it? Did somebody refer a dating coach to you? And was there like was the aha moment like when you got engaged that, oh shit, a dating coach actually works? Like how do you know it actually worked?
I mean, a lot of things. So I met the woman at a women's networking event. Actually, it was like a female founder networking event. She was there. And at the time when we met, I just connected with her But I wasn't ready to work with her. I remember she's like, it sounds like you could really get value in working with me. And I was like, yeah, maybe, but I'm not ready. And then it was a couple years later that I was out to drinks with another girlfriend. And she basically said what I just said to you. Like, I've realized, hey, it's me. I'm the problem. Like, I'm the common denominator. And I just kind of thought back to meeting that woman. And I was like, I can relate to what my friend's saying, and I should probably give that woman a call. So
Yeah.
I did. But I could tell right away that it made a difference personally.
Yeah.
Because my fiance is not the only person I went on a date with while working with her. So it just changed the way that I approached the whole thing. And it also made me realize like it's the same reason why people hire me, right? Like I have a specialty with what I do, and that's what I bring to founders. There's no reason why more of us, myself included, shouldn't hire. Like I would invest in and I have invested in executive coaches for business. Why would I not invest in something for my personal life? Like that was just a weird thing for me. I hadn't really ever done, and I'm very grateful I did it.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a good story. I mean, I think you have to get to that point where you actually want it. Like it's almost like
Yes.
you see your reflection in the mirror, like you've been dodging that mirror. But as soon as somebody puts the mirror in front of you and you see it, you're like, that's it. And that's in personal, professional, whatever it is. All right.
Yep.
So this is obviously the podcast is called Life's a Pitch. So this is play on words, extra innings, aka speed round of questions. All right. So I'm going to give you a few questions and you give me just some rapid fire answers. It never ends up being rapid fire because we'll dig into a cool answer that you say. But here we go. First question. What's the last thing? I have a feeling I know what you're going to say here based on where you are. What's the last thing that genuinely scared you?
I don't think you know what I'm going to say.
Oh, I thought you were going to say birth. Did you go to space?
No, but I'm just so afraid of space. Like, I don't know why I'm telling you, like, whenever, and there's so many movies out now about space, probably because we're not that far away from having some colony in space. I don't know, but it's still like the thought, it's like my biggest nightmare to be just floating out in space, like untethered to anything. It gives me like, I don't know, major anxiety.
What's that Sandra Bullock, George Clooney movie where they were like on a space station? Don't watch it.
There's so many though, but they all creep me out.
Yeah. I look up, I get into arguments. See, this is why this is not rapid fire because I go down tangents. I get into arguments with my wife all the time. I'm like, look up in the sky. You see all those stars? Those are all suns. And and those are all bigger than our sun. So you're going to tell me you don't think there's anything else out there, no other life forms? And she's like, no. She's like, until I see it, I don't believe it. I'm like, you're crazy. There is absolutely something else out there. We don't know. So space is a good answer.
I'm with you.
That answer. Yeah.
I'm actually with you. I believe there's something out there.
Has
somewhere.
To be. All right. So what's the one tool that you use with work that you cannot live without?
So it's new for me post motherhood, but it's anything voice to text.
Oh, yes.
I'm like, because I always have one hand full, it seems like nowadays. So that's how I've not lost momentum is voice to text.
Good. Whisper Flow, use that one.
So you know what? I have that on my list to try. I've been using Voicey, which is pretty good, but I've heard good things about Whisper Flow, so I was going to play around with that too.
Yeah, I live by Whisper Flow. The Apple, if you have an iPhone, the Apple talk to text needs to get better. It's awful.
It does. Yeah.
It sucks. So anyway, that's me bitching about Apple. What's the one truth about business or being an entrepreneur that you didn't believe until you lived it?
I think there's this notion amongst a lot of us that certain businesses are easier than others, right? Like you might look and be like, oh, that person that has a digital course, that's easier, or that person that has an Etsy shop, that's easier. I don't know. I think there's this this notion that something is easier. I don't think any of it's easy. No matter what path you choose, building a business is just hard AF.
Yes, that's good. And we can cuss on this podcast. All right. One person, living or dead. This is a cliche one, but it's always curious to get answers. Living or dead, you'd want to have a beer with, and why?
My brother sadly he passed, and so that would be definitely the person that I would want to reconnect with right now and be like, what do you think about everything you're witnessing here?
Younger or older?
Younger.
Okay. I don't think I'm going to get a better answer than that one. So great answer. First and last concert.
This was fun to think about. First concert was Good Charlotte. And, back in like the emo middle school days. And the last concert I went to was Thames, Tems. If you haven't heard of her, she's phenomenal. She's kind of an up and comer. I mean, she's pretty big now, I guess, but still, I guess not, Beyonce, but I think she's on her way. She's really
It's
good.
good. Awesome.
Yeah.
Emo. My first was Green Day Dookie tour back in
Love
'94.
it.
But emo, speaking of emo, the last one that I went to was at Riot Fest. It was Blink 182. Emo. That's about as emo as you can get.
That's hilarious.
Awesome. Jess, how do people find you? I know we haven't really talked too much about your newsletter, but it is one of the best that's out there. If that's what you were going to say, I apologize for stealing your thunder, but how do people find you?
Yeah, no, that's all good. I have 2 newsletters now because I'm crazy. But yes, I have one newsletter dedicated to B2B startups and helping them with go to market. And then I have another one dedicated to helping fractionals build their business. So you can find me on either of those. I'm actually in the process of migrating both. The new one is on Substack, the old one's on Beehive. I'm moving it over. Anyway, you can find all this on my LinkedIn.
Awesome. Awesome. Good stuff. That is a wrap for this episode of Life's a Pitch. A big thanks to Jess for joining today. If you liked it, share it, tell a friend, or just steal something smart that she said and pretend it was yours. And remember, behind every single strategy, title, or success story, there's chaos, self-doubt, and a whole lot of trial and error. We will see you again next time. Thanks.